put her on the spot last Saturday at service, and she's had a whole week to pick. Do you have notes?
I do have a.
Give me that. No notes. No, I'm just kidding. Madison has traveled all the way from Great Britain to be with us, and they you talk about planes, trains, and automobiles, embassies, and all the hassles that she did. Madison, I was very impressed that you actually made it here, first of all. But it's been a joy having you even at our house there for a few days before, and here at Sukkot. So here you go, Maddie. Let her rip.
Cool. Well, thank you. I'm really privileged to have the opportunity to share a bit of my story just recently. And so when I decided to travel here, first of all, it was friends and family being like, you are going to travel on a plane with the 3 kids? I was like, yep. So there was a lot of just like mentally having to be really positive and not focus on any of all the things that could go wrong, and yet try and be as well prepared as possible. So anyway, I did as much of the preparation and tried to tick every box to make sure that everything was organized and ready to go. And then the night before, I went to check in, and there was some little note about a visa, and I was like, okay, I don't think I've got any of those. So anyway, thank God that was all electronic, so I was able to apply for that quickly, and it came through straight away. But in applying for that, I discovered one of my kids' passports was expired. So essentially, if they were to see that it was expired, there would be no way they were going to let us travel. So I'm praying about it, and I'm like kicking myself initially, and then I'm like, every other thing seems to be in place for me to go, and I just think this must be a faith opportunity, so I'll take that. And so I just prayed that they would overlook the digits, and whatever needed to happen would happen. I was like, God, this will be easy for you. This is part of the testimony. This is all part of the whole thing. And then so then mentally again, it's just like not focusing on the negative and staying positive, and then praying in tongues when I didn't know what else to do. But we got to the check-in desk initially. Anyway, got to the check-in desk, and the guy was trying to check us in, and it just wouldn't go through. And I'm like, God, I'm just visualizing us on the plane. And anyway, he went off, and he comes back, and he's like, okay, you're all set. And I was like, so then we went through. Eventually we got onto the plane after, well, that held us up a lot. So then there was a lot of running and calling. There was some very relaxed looking people walking along, and I was like, excuse me, sorry, can you help me? Because I had the 3 kids and all our bags. Anyway, we got on the plane. We were the second to last people to join, and it was pretty fine, the journey on the whole. The kids found it really exciting being on the plane, and then after about 4 hours they were like, okay, we can get off now. But we had about 3.5 more to go, but we made it, and that was fine. Then when we landed in Toronto, and you got sort of meeting, like, you know, it's a different the security in your own sort of, like in London I'm familiar with that whole setup, but it was a bit scary then, seeing the Canadian immigration customs and everything. So I just started to feel a little nervous, and then I thought I'll just be really friendly and chatty, and then hopefully that will distract from what he may otherwise see. That Prophet Dad told me was not the right thing to do. So anyway, he said like, yeah, forget your chat, your passport's expired. So he's then like being big red cross on our entry card or whatever, and he's like, you can go down to immigration. So we had a couple of hours there. Initially I went in and I was like, yeah, so we've got a flight in about an hour, could we, sort of skip to the front? And they're like, nope. And I'm like, okay, I've got the 3 kids, do you think we could skip the front? Nope. Okay. So anyway, eventually when we were at the front, the guy was saying he's going to send us to go home. And I'm like, oh my God. So I got on the phone with Darren and Nicole, and yeah, Prophet Darren basically said he'd sent a message out for them to start praying. And 10 minutes later, against everything the guy had said, he was like, okay, I'm going to let you come in. So he was very adamant to say that it was not for me, that I'd made a grave mistake, and I was very bad, but it was for my daughter. So we're really, really happy that we were able to get here anyway. He wouldn't let us get our connecting flight. So Darren and Nicole were very kind to help us organize all of the onward logistics. But yeah, could go on, but
Thank you, Madison. Yeah, it was quite the trip. Commenting back on what she was saying, she had us on speakerphone while she was talking to customs and listening to that. And we were sitting there praying, and it was on my wife's phone, and I had about enough of listening to this guy after he rejected her twice. I think it was. He said no, and that's when I sent a message out to the ministers that minister within the organization, and I actually sat there on the speakerphone when he came back out and heard the whole conversation, and said, okay, we're letting you in. And it broke that just like that. So that's the power of prayer. It goes out to everybody. It goes out to those when you're not even knowing what you're praying for. You could have been praying for that situation when you're praying in tongues that morning, and not knowing, and it broke something. But you know what? Prayer works. And that's just a small example. Shame on Madison for not having her paperwork all in place, but we'll forgive her for that one. But yeah, it's the power of prayer and supporting each other. And I'm glad that she was able to call us and have us on speaker so we could hear what's going on anyway. And they weren't friendly people. They were not being kind to her. They were not being nice. They were giving her a hard time. They were, trying to flex their muscles that they don't have. But at the same time, she made it through. And that's the God that we serve. There's nothing that's going to stop when you put your mind to something and you want to fulfill something and you want to go forward and you have the Father and you're walking and standing with him and you're trying to do an initiative for him. There's nothing that's going to stop it. And that's just the way it is. He's like, again, back to that snowplow. He's out there in front of us. All we have to do is follow him behind that plow. It's that simple. So enough of me talking. Next, we're going to go with Haiti from Jeff. We had some conversation last night about the country Haiti, and her name is Haiti. And we had new people that lived in Haiti, and Prophet Steve was talking about people from Haiti, and then it got really confusing last night. So anyway, here is Haiti Elias.
Thank you. I was just listening when he was talking today about the listening, and just brought back a memory of how I even ended up here. Because at the time I was in a very dark place, and I thank God that I did listen, because that voice did tell me that I had to move home or I would die where I was at the time. And I think back sometimes to that, and I've talked to my older children about it too, about just how different things could be if I hadn't listened. And I remember calling my parents and packed up everything and moved home within 2 weeks after hearing that. And now I just look at where my life is, meeting Jeff and going to Haiti and just all the things that have happened now since then. I'm just so thankful that I did listen, because it could have been very easy for me to just go, I'm still been drinking too much and it's just a dream type thing, right? But I remember just not having my eyes open and just seeing a bright light. And so I was like, okay, this has got to be a message for me. And so then I came here back home and started getting my life back on track. And then, like I said, then met Jeff, and that's now been 22 years. And just, we've just journeyed together and weren't really part of a church or anything when we first got married. And then through my sister and brother-in-law started hearing about prophet, and not even knowing what a prophet was, went to one of the meetings and just kind of started from there. And has changed our life, and just we're learning still every single day, still making mistakes, but trying to get better every day. And had some, healings in our family. Our daughter was healed from a heart condition that she had that was really scary at the time, because we were in the States and didn't know what was going on, because it kind of came out of, and I remember Jeff calling, was it Prophet? You called directly somehow, and they were out in the cornfield, and you never got connection out there, and somehow we got through and just told us, I don't even remember. I just remember it was just not going to be anything serious, that she would be okay. And then my other son, he was having a skin condition, and he was prayed for, and now he's been healed of that. And I was prayed for over the internet. I remember Prophet Mike saying something about bone spurs in the neck, and I'm like, I think they told me I had that. And so I just put my hand on my neck, and I was off work probably a couple months. I had to go off because I couldn't lift my arm. I could barely drive, and just put my hand there. And I mean, like literally within a couple seconds, I was healed, and I went back to work, and that was it. And it was immediate. It was amazing. And I didn't even know if I was even, if it was even getting prayed for the right thing. I thought it was just something, but yeah, it's just been an amazing journey, and just constantly learning about myself, and just, yeah, it's just been quite the journey. So that's all I have to say.
Man, some of our biggest talkers get so quiet when there's a microphone in front of them. I love this couple, Jeff and Haiti. They're very dear, special to me. So thank you, Haiti, for that. And it's we've all got a story, we've all got a journey, and that's what this is all about, getting on here with a little microphone and just talking about your what God has done for you, and how we got to where we got. We've all got a story. We've all got a skeleton. We've all got this. We've all got that too. And you know what? He's a God of forgiveness. He's a God of love. He's a God of mercy. Thank God for his mercy. I think we should thank him every day for it. Some more than others. I have the microphone today, Prophet Steve. Yeah. Oh, we're having fun. We're having fun this week. We're having fun fellowshipping with everybody. And one more person we're going to bring up here. And that is another brother that's near and dear to me, kind of cut from the same cloth as me in certain ways. So he might be a little rough around the edges, but he might get a little aggressive. And that's Brother Jeff Dole.
Thank you, Darren. And yeah, definitely very appreciative for the ministry that's been able to influence my life and my wife's life and my family's life. And just grateful for the effects that it has, and the things that you used to live in, the things that you used to walk in with the world. And you didn't have outlets for these types of things, for trying to find more knowledge, trying to seek things out in your own walk, and you come up to dead ends, and you're like, wow, I'm gonna try the same thing again. And it's like, oh, that didn't work. But the ministry's opened up doors to a greater knowledge that doesn't live anywhere else. And I didn't even have any idea what I was going to say when I come up here, and now it's just falling out of my mouth. But it's interesting because we're all going through the same things in our walk, but just at different times. And Darren and Nicole have helped me, and Prophet Steve has helped me through many circumstances from a million miles away. And we've recently made some changes in our life, that we relocated onto a farm and decided to make a better living situation for our kids and our family. And that alone, farming is a pretty big faith project, going from planting seeds in the ground and making sure they're good seeds first, clean seeds, and hoping for rain, having faith that it's going to rain, and then seeing it develop produce and you know, just a good lifestyle change and a good experience to give it your best and leave it alone. So he works with us to give us produce and give us rain. And I think Darren shared that story earlier this year where we were growing some crops and things were
Tell it
looking
again. It's your story. I'd rather
pretty dry. Yeah.
tell the story. It's
Yeah.
a great story. It's not working.
Yeah, absolutely. It was pretty phenomenal. We have about 96 acres and it was probably what, late June. Things were looking pretty curled up, pretty tough. The corn and the beans were kind of looking like they weren't going to produce a lot. Whether it'd be worth to go to the field and harvest them was the question on my mind. And certainly in the first year of farming, I'm the furthest thing from an expert. So you glean on the neighbors and I wanted some confirmation in my life. So I went out to the cornfield, prayed to the Father, and I was like, well, I don't ask for much typically, but right now we sure could use some rain to cover the cost of these expenses and make this produce grow. And I asked for 2 inches of rain, rain gauge, specifically 2 inches. And we hadn't had rain in over 60 days. And within 2 days, we had a 1/4 inch of rain one evening and 1 3/4 the next day. I was like, what? I'm like, we haven't had anything. I'm like, how did this happen? You're answering my question? Like, I was in awe. And then Wednesday afternoon rolls around. This was Monday, Tuesday. We had a thunderstorm that rolled through and gave us 2 more inches of rain in about a 35-minute period. And I mean, it fogs me up to even think back to that time. You know, to be grateful that happened. I'm like, well, maybe I should have prayed a month and a half ago, you know, but it just completely amazing, you know, and I had faith that it was going to rain, asked him and held on to that. It was a confirmation that, you know, I'm on the right path. I'm on the right track. I'm where I need to be. And, you know, there's times that you get weak and you question it. You say, wow, am I really supposed to be here? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Or, you know, what's going on? You know, maybe I need a bigger pry bar in my life to get things done. But I really, I really appreciate all the knowledge that's available for everyone and anyone that's seeking more. Grateful. Thanks for the opportunity, Darren.
Thanks, Jeff. And I just think that's such a great story. You know, there was a bunch of us that had spent the weekend at Jeff's place. He told that story, and you know, we went for a walk around his field, and we were walking around with a bunch of guys. And then after that, it was my wife and I had our anniversary coming up, so we decided that we were going to go spend a couple of days, and we went to a bunch of different places that we had previously visited around Ontario. And as we drove around, Nicole and I looked at each other and we said, you know, that Jeff's crops are the best looking crops that we've seen. And we drove and drove and drove, went from town to town and city to city around, and you had the best looking crops that we saw. And, you know, chalk that up to the covenant, because we're going to need rain in due season. We're going to need rain in our lives in due season. We're going to need whatever it takes for the Father to bring to get us through whatever it is that we're going through. Now, yesterday, today, forever, it's always going to be the same. His principles are the same. They needed rain back then. We have different types of you know, things where they irrigate and all that stuff, and that it comes down to the basics of life is where we're going to have to get to, and make sure that we have those basics covered. And that's what the Word of God, you know, food, shelter, water, and all these mundane things that we seem to have in life, they're going to wither away. They're not going to matter too much anymore. I think Prophet Steve is over here trying to, did you want to say something? Sure. He's sitting up, he's leaning back, he's bouncing all over the place right now. I'm going to pass the mic over to him and we'll see if-
Thanks, Prophet Darren. This is when you listen to what people are sharing, personal stories. You see, our Heavenly Father is in each and every one's detail in life. Sometimes I think we think that we go through life and, oh, that was lucky, or that was this, or that was that. And yet the Father has this so orchestrated, and he allows us to go through the circumstances in life for us to learn how much he does care about us. And I guess maybe because I'm getting a little older, I know you guys aren't, I am. And that I see that more and more all the time. Where when you listen to people, yeah, Darren just talking about listen, but when you listen to people and their heart speaks, and you understand how much the Father is in each and every detail of our lives. And I so much appreciate that story that Jeff shared about his crops, because being an old farm boy and the things that we experienced through the years farming, and that it is all a process to get us to where he wants us to be. And this has probably been one of my best Sukkots ever. There has been so much going on, even for me and Irene personally, that as we absorb, because we used to live in this area, as we absorb the things that we see going on here, and the fact this was 40 years ago, and we were saying how much things have changed as far as people, but the land has stayed the same. And it's almost like God doesn't change. He is the foundation, and there's circumstances in our lives that we go through, and we change, we grow, and whatever, but the land stays the same. The Father is solid through it all. He says, I change not. And I think for myself personally, guys, that's probably one of the biggest takes from this Sukkot that I'm going to take home from this, that the Father changes not. And each one of you, each one of us, our lives is going to be stuff every day. And we really have to take to heart that the Father is in this. See, we have to understand that we are all he has, whoever we is. But the we is in the testimonies and the sharing. And that's all, to me, that's all a piece of the Father. That's the Father coming out in each and every one to share with the rest how much he cares. And it's just an exciting time, guys. Appreciate so much your willingness to open up. It's real important, because I think that all of us, we have to understand we're just his kids. Each of us has a job, and we're going to move forward in this, and I'm excited about it. I know last night sitting around the tent, we had some jocularities. We had some good times over the future and what the Father has in store, and exciting. I know that we only have half an hour left, and I don't have any more notes in front of me, so I'd better be quiet. Appreciate you guys. Love you to pieces. We really do. Thank you for being part of our lives, the family, the Father's kids.
Well, thank you for that. And thank you for everybody that shared today. It's just awesome to to listen to the stories, and it does minister to other people's lives. You know how when we share, it ministers to your life. You share, it ministers to others' lives. You know, it's what it's all about. It's just spreading and it's building a confidence in your walk. And sometimes we need to go back and reflect on those stories, because that will, wait, oh, that's right. God was there. God did help me through that. God was there. Sometimes it feels like we get a little bit lonely and a little bit distant, but he never leaves us. He never forsakes us. And all we have to do is just drift right back towards him. Because again, the land never changes. There's a big sermon in that one. I don't know who's going to get to it first, me or you, but when you said that, it struck me 2 days ago you said that. So that's great. So, well, I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their Sukkot. I know we're packing up tomorrow and heading out. We're going to spend the day with everybody today, and it's going to be, it's been a fantastic week here. I hope everybody's enjoyed their time. I thank you for joining us today, and I thank you for your support. I thank you for your prayers, and I thank you for the love that we give. You know, there's times when, you know, you're sitting there and you can actually feel the prayers, and it means a lot. It really does. So I thank you for that. So let's close in prayer. We'll just wrap this up with a prayer. Father, we come before you and we thank you. Thank you for being our Father and leading and guiding us in your ways. And especially want to say a prayer of protection as people travel back from their Sukkot. Keep them safe, Father. Surround them as they go about and make their way back home. We ask these things in Yeshua's name. Amen. Have a blessed day, everybody.